Hello everybody and welcome to the Beyond the Essential Oil Recipe Summit. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. If you're going live on Facebook now, click share and like, because today we have Dr. Eric Zielinski. Dr. Z, I'm so pleased to see you. How are you?
I'm great, and such a privilege. I'm so glad we could do this. I mean, we almost didn't make it happen, and then we did, and it's just, to sync up all of our schedules together. So
You're not kidding. It's so hard. You're the only person to say that online, but I'm not kidding you, everybody.
I mean, really?
It's been very, very complicated coordinating all this with everybody. And yes, Eric's kids have gone back to school, and he literally dropped them off 2 minutes before we started. So it's yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
And I appreciate what you're doing, Elizabeth. I've hosted 3 telesummits, and I understand the value, but also the significant effort that comes into it. So thank you so much, because what you're doing is you're just giving a gift to humanity. And really, it's my privilege and honor to be sharing what little I know about how to help people with essential oils.
Well, that's so nice of you to say it. And had you told me how difficult it was going to be before I started, I wouldn't have done it. Humanity or not. But so for those people who perhaps don't know you very well, you were introduced to me through Sila Shepherd-Hanger.
Yeah.
But I want to know how you got here today. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I'm a public health researcher. And so when I was in school, one of my clients commissioned me to write a series of public health reports on the therapeutic effects of essential oils. And it was not a hobby. It was not because I was interested. It wasn't because, I was looking for a cure for an ailment that I was battling, because I was really healthy, and I still am, but it was my job. And it was my job to read hundreds of research articles and to understand. And I'll tell you, and I'll be very, very transparent, there is a huge disconnect between being a researcher, being a primary care physician, seeing what the research says, and actually recommending how to use essential oils therapeutically in the clinical setting. Why?
You're absolutely
because
right.
There is a practical piece that you just miss. And I didn't realize that until I got into this world, and I started seeing the disconnect and seeing bloggers out there recommend these crazy morphine bomb recipes with 20, 30 drops in a pill. And then it was craziness. And so it dawned on me that someone needed to do what you're doing, essentially. And it was 3.5 years ago, I hosted my first telesummit that interviewed experts around the globe, and a little bit different than what a lot of other people did is I included everyone. So whether or not they were part of a multi-level marketing company, whether or not they were a chemist, an aromatherapist, a blogger, a healthcare provider, I invited everyone. And it was a profound event that positioned me as a researcher in the essential oil space. I don't call myself an aromatherapist because I don't practice. I'm not a therapist, but I'm an essential oils researcher. And next thing you know, I write a book. It becomes a national bestseller. We have 1 million people a month following us on Facebook and our website channels. And
you have 1 million people a month.
Yeah, and it's just become a ministry for my wife and I.
Yeah,
and that's
wonderful.
what we do.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I appreciate all the work you do, because I also call myself an essential oil researcher, and I know how difficult it is to get your head out of those papers and put it into actual aromatherapy. Isn't easy. So I am interested to hear what you've got to say about digestion, because I think it's an area that's underexplained. From my point of view, it's extremely exciting because there's such a connection between the neurotransmitters like serotonin and the gut. And so, yeah, I'm eager to suck up anything anybody's got to tell me about digestion. And I know this is an area you're passionate about. So what can you tell me?
There's so much to look at in general when it comes to aromatherapy and how aromatherapy can help with your gastrointestinal tract. And one thing for folks, you got to realize that there's confusion, there's misunderstanding of what it is we're even talking about when we refer to the gut, even when we refer to digestion, even when we refer to the GI, the gastrointestinal tract. I mean, technically speaking, it starts when you eat food and it ends when the food comes out. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot that can happen.
Yeah.
And with that said, when it comes to digestion, and if we want to look at it, just isolate digestion to how your body is literally digesting and assimilating nutrients, that starts here, and it starts when you eat your food, and then it starts with everything else that goes through. And that means aromatherapy can help you every step of the way. And there's so much that we need to look at when it comes to the psychogenic aspects of digestion, how stress and mood affects digestion, how digestion affects your body's ability to assimilate nutrients so you have the proper nutrition to live, and what that looks like on your metabolism, and what does that look like on every aspect of your life. So there is a myriad of ways that we could have this discussion. But what I'd like to do is focus on what we do know. And according to the research, and focus on even debunking a couple myths. And I want to cover a little bit about safety. I want to talk a little bit about the gut. And I also want to talk about weight loss, because our next book coming out next year, May 2019, is going to be a diet book that we're going to be focusing on how to use bioactive compounds, and of which, interestingly enough, essential oils are bioactive compounds found in foods. So people wonder, like, really, what are essential oils? They are a lot more than what we actually consider them to be, even as aromatherapist or essential oil educators. So gut health.
Go for it.
Yes. When it comes to gut health, I think it's really important to recognize that there's more than one way of painting a wall. And there is a lot of different roads to how to reach peace and harmony and homeostasis. And one thing that I've noticed, Elizabeth, in the research is a phrase that I find almost counterintuitive, that why it's being used by the researchers as much as it is. But we know it as harmony. We know it in the medical world as homeostasis. But I'm seeing more and more researchers use the word balance. And usually don't hear that in the medical community. People are talking about how to use essential oils to create harmony in the body. Like, I know, sandalwood, ylang ylang are known harmonizers. Yeah. So when you're, what does that mean? And how does that help your gut? How does that help your digestion? What that says is there is no one size fits all approach. When it comes to essential oil therapy, I'm finding that very few essential oils actually have a direct effect on the body that is predictable.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what does it do? What do these compounds do when it comes to gut health and digestion? They help your body reach balance. They help your body reach homeostasis. We call that vitalistic philosophy when I went to chiropractic college. It's like the power that made the body heal the body. It's the ability to heal from the inside out. So why do I say that? Is because rosemary is a perfect example. Like, we know rosemary will have, if it does anything, it will raise your blood pressure. The likelihood, there's no research to suggest that rosemary will decrease your blood pressure.
I agree.
Right? But when it comes to other essential oils, we don't see that direct effect. No. Like, we see lavender having a calming but also an exciting ability to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, but also can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So what does that mean for digestion? Same thing for peppermint, same thing for some of the other oils, many of the other oils. So I say that to say this: researchers and scientists are starting to understand this concept of harmony, starting to understand this concept of homeostasis and balance, where they realize, you know what, essential oils support your body to reach harmony, to heal itself. So if you have an issue, then we got to get to the root cause of the issue. Oftentimes it's stress related. Oftentimes when we're talking digestion, gut related, it's inflammatory based, it's food based, it's what's happening with the environmental toxins that you're exposed to, right? And so first thing is think about focusing on what really is the cause. And that could be hard for some people.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be very hard for some people is I don't know what the cause
Haven't got a clue where I've got to start with this. Yeah.
Right. And so the idea that I'm proposing to people, and the one thing my wife and I have been focusing a lot on this last year is walking people through how to detox their life. And what does that look like? From the lotions and potions you're putting on your skin, to what you're inhaling, to what you're drinking, to the foods that you're consuming, fill in the blank, to the electromagnetic frequency that's being emitted from your microwave or from your cell phone or whatever it might be. You start to one by one by one by one go on what you could call it like an elimination lifestyle. You know about the elimination diet, right?
Yeah.
Right? Start to avoid known toxins, and then you'll notice a change. And
actually, you hit the nail on the head here, actually, because I don't think many people say it very often, but you have there. Wi-Fi is a real environmental toxin, isn't it? If it's on all the time, that static electricity around your head is quite detrimental. Yeah.
So what do you do, and how does aromatherapy fit into this? How do essential oils help? Well, essential oils essentially give you power back, where you can start making your own products. You can enhance the environment by putting the beautiful volatile organic compounds into the air, that you can emit the fragrance that is not like aerosol based, that don't have synthetic fragrances, that aren't going to cause indigestion and gut disorders. And most people don't realize this, the connection between the brain and the gut. Most people don't realize that you might have digestive issues because of what you're breathing in all day.
Yeah.
Because of the wallflower that's plugged in, or your plugins, your aerosols, your sprays, because of off-gassing from your carpet, because of whatever it might be. And what I try to do, and what I'm encouraging everyone watching to do, is to go step by step by step and to limit and get to the point where you completely omit all toxins in your life. And that first starts in your home.
It's a very, very tall thing to do, isn't it? It's a big job. Yeah, it is a big job.
It is.
And I do agree.
And you embrace the process.
Yeah.
Right? My wife and I have been doing this for 12 years. And so if you start, and so when it comes to digestion, the first thing I would recommend is literally no synthetic smell, no synthetic fragrances, no synthetic flavors, of course, in your food, but I'm thinking more along the lines of scented products. That's easy to do.
Your shampoos and stuff like that.
Yes, because people don't realize how
you're absorbing it all.
Yes, and that is a trigger. And so when it comes to essential oil therapy, especially, you can actually have a minor, very subtle therapeutic effect. But if you start to make your own, or also just buy unscented products, have a diffuser running. So there are specific gut issues that we do know, according to the research, that essential oils can help with. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is the gut is the distal colon. It means it's far down the GI tract. So when it comes down to it, if you really want to have the essential oils have a direct impact on the gut, which is, again, your large intestine, you need to consume essential oils in an enteric-coated capsule, which is a time-release polymer-coated capsule. So there is no other way of having essential oils beside possibly rectal suppositories. Topical application, inhalation, that's not going to directly affect the gut lining. So if you are battling with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, if you're battling Crohn's disease, if you're battling leaky gut syndrome, essential oils can help inadvertently by reducing stress, helping the psychogenic aspects of gut disorders. But when it comes to healing, and Elizabeth, research has actually shown oregano essential oil can actually help repair leaky gut. Research has suggested that peppermint essential oil can help literally soothe SIBO. And they've done studies with up to 3 to 4 drops per dose of peppermint in a polymer-coated time-release capsule 2 to 3 times a day. These patients have found great relief with SIBO. So, but
yeah,
that's
and
the
I
strategy.
think as well, just to go back to what you were saying about the leaky gut, that extends so much further as well, because that people with eczema, their eczema is getting worse because of
Yep.
leaky gut, migraine, things like
Yep.
that, and so that's a domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah. And so if we're trying to bring healing to a gut lining that has been destroyed because of pharmaceutical abuse, possibly because of improper food management, a lot of processed foods, inflammatory foods just rip open the gut lining, essentially just destroys your gut lining. So if you want to bring healing to that, it's stopping the assault, it's stopping the toxins, and it includes inhalation. And that's, to me, is the big key, is that I'm really trying to help people. Like, I have my little diffuser going on, right? We have to.
I'm dying to know what's in the diffuser.
Oh, this is my uplifting blend. I have Litsea, I have Ravensara, peppermint, and rosemary, Moroccan rose.
Oh, no wonder
Yes,
you're
it's-
so on the ball. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's a strategy, folks, is that one thing to remember is that if anyone with a gut disorder, just keep in mind that it's taken time. These are chronic issues. This isn't like a heart attack. It's not a traumatic brain injury. It's not instant. This is a chronic, most likely chronic inflammatory issue that has taken years to develop. So it's going to take some time to bring healing. But when it comes down to it, dramatic changes in lifestyle are key, and that takes step by step by step. I'll defer you to a nutritionist or to another telesummit that really focuses on the nutritional aspect of it. But when it comes to using aromatherapy and essential oils, nothing like essential oils can help with the symptoms related to things like nausea, brain fog, insomnia, and low libido, all those things that are related to gut disorders, even candida. And we were just talking about our mutual friend. I say Jane and I are working on a book. My new book, I have this next to me. Out of all the resources,
I was so disappointed when you showed me. I thought you knew her.
No, I wish I
Anybody who
did.
can bring me Jane Buckle, please. I would like to meet Jane Buckle.
Dr. Buckle, if you're watching, you're helping me write my next book, because I got you and I got Tisserin's Essential Oil Safety book. Those are, and Scylla's manual, because I'm her student. Those are the books that are helping me write my books, because these are the textbooks, right? So when Jane is speaking to me about the research related to these, just when it comes to everything, I just like, you know what, I listen. So with that said, a little bit about gut. There's a lot that we could do. There's a lot that we could talk about when it comes to symptom-based management, but I want to encourage people, you can do a lot yourself. And I'd rather people, and I know oftentimes in these events and these interviews, we preach to the choir. But for those of you who aren't sold yet on the natural lifestyle, for those of you who aren't sold yet on aromatherapy, there's so much that you could do with managing symptoms yourself, so you don't have to go get ibuprofen, you don't have to take Tums, or you don't do anything. You possibly won't even have to take pharmaceuticals by your doctor if you prevent this the right way. And for those of you who are on any pharmaceuticals, be very careful, because there are known drug reactions when you use essential oils. But the reality is this, the research is limited. We really don't know. I mean, we really, really don't know. We don't have a long list. Why? Because there are more drugs being produced than there are essential oils.
You could never stay in date.
No. So with that said, if anyone is on any sort of gut disorder type of drug, or any drug in general, and you're trying to use essential oils, especially if you're ingesting them, you really need to consult your pharmacist to find out. Because at the end of the day, even a lot of trained aromatherapists don't know, because they're not trained in toxicology.
I mean, there are a couple of really obvious ones that you use, like grapefruit and tarragon, which both have digestive properties, which would be problematic with blood thinners and things like that. You'd see it in Tisserand and Young, and you can also see it in my and clove, in my free book as well. But Tisserand and Young. But as you quite rightly say, your pharmacist will be able to tell you.
Yeah, and that's something too. I know that. Well, at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to limit the toxins. We want to limit the assault. And this is where possibly professional counseling, support, prayer, meditation, yoga, really finding peace and balance in your life, because nothing will cause an assault on digestion like a mood disorder, like panic, like chronic fatigue, chronic stress, insomnia, which are all connected, depression. There's a reason why there's a direct, it's called the gut-skin-brain axis. When there's any sort of mental disorder, oftentimes it's stemmed from the gut, or it can also cause a gut disorder, but you can see it through your skin. You mentioned eczema, you mentioned psoriasis, acne. Oftentimes adults who have skin conditions, it's because of the gut manifested through the brain. And all of them are interconnected. So at the end of the day, this is where we can get good at working with a qualified healthcare professional to diagnose ourselves. Because
the other thing that you mentioned earlier, I send a lot of my people who've got stomach problems to a chiropractor. You were saying about the chiropractor, because often it can be a vertebrae just simply leaning on a nerve that's sending stress signals to the gut.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you used the word stress, because that's what it is. It's dis-ease. It's dis-ease.
Exactly
D-I-S hyphen E-A-S-E, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I write in my books.
Right? That's what we're against. That's the battle, y'all, is anything that's causing any sort of unrest, whether it's a vertebrae out of joint, whether it's an argument you just had. I'll tell you something. Like, I've been married 12 years, and the worst meals I've ever had, and the most likely I'll get indigestion after eating a meal is after having an argument with
you're having a row. Yeah, absolutely right.
You know, or it could be something happen at work, or it could be something with a colleague, or you get that pit feeling in your stomach. You know, essential oils can help you with that. And I know you're getting a lot of great information, Elizabeth. People got to check out your books as well to find out how do you really cope and manage, and just realize that there is, I believe, a solution for you, and it's just a matter of finding it. And I don't know what it is. For me, I love lime, key lime. I love I love magnolia. One thing that I just recently come upon is I call it my heaven scent blend. I love mixing magnolia and lemon and a little bit of key lime. Like, that brings me to a place where...
That sounds like one of my mum's blends. She used to make magnolia into everything.
Really?
She loves it. Yeah, she does.
My favorite It's my favorite flowering tree, and I have one in my backyard in Atlanta.
Beautiful.
So for me, that's my solution. And if I want a mental boost, if I want a pick-me-up, if something's not really going my way, that helps.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Oftentimes we see certain types of oils to help. And, you know, the grounding oils, the Buddha woods, the Ho woods, the agar woods, the whatever it is. A lot of folks like the resins, like the aquaponics, the myrrh, the frankincense, like whatever it is. And so what I want to challenge you who are watching to do is to have some fun. You know, whether you go to your local aromatherapy supplier, smell a bunch of different ones, work with a trained aromatherapist who can help guide you, maybe off of, quite frankly, intuition. I think a lot of us
definitely
about intuition.
Just smelling an oil and going, oh, I really like that, quite often tells you a lot about what you need at the moment. Yeah.
And you know what? That changes.
Right
now,
definitely.
It is, but I love my heavenly scent blend, my magnolia, lemon, and lime. But you know what? Next year might be something different. And so I'm also open to that. And one thing that I think is really important for people to get the most out of aromatherapy, just like anything, is you got to listen to your body, right? And have you had anyone yet talk about the organoleptic evaluation?
I don't think so. I don't think I even know what that is. Tell me about it.
Come on. Okay.
No,
great.
I need to get educated. Come on.
Let me teach you something. So you just don't take an oil just because I say it. Just don't do it. Just don't take a supplement because you've heard that it's good. And quite frankly, you shouldn't take a whole round of a drug unless your body's reacting well to it.
Yes.
You need to work with your doctor to make sure there's no adverse reactions. And so the organoleptic evaluation puts that back in your court so that you'll find out whether or not an intervention, whether it's a drug, a supplement, or an essential oil, fits for you. So what you do is, simply put, it's just how your body perceives the oil through the six senses, you know, sight, taste, touch, feel, hearing. Can't really hear essential oils, but intuition. So what you'll do is you'll get a bottle. You'll get a bottle. You'll get a bottle of, you know, we'll use lemon, for example. It's a good pure essential oil, right? So you get a bottle of lemon, you just smell it. I mean, just simply put, smell it. How does it make you feel? I mean, do you get a headache? Do you feel nice? Do you not feel anything at all? Does it remind you of something in the past that might not be pleasant? Because we know that can happen. What is your experience with this? And I would actually want you to go one step further and do a skin patch test, right? Get some diluted essential oils you can make, like, 5% dilution, put it on the back of your hand. How does that react? Do you have a rash? Does it agitate your skin? Does it burn? I mean, if it's an edible essential oil, one that you could consume, put some with some, like a teaspoon of coconut oil. I recommend just a drop of like lemon and take some. How does it react to your body? Like, you want to experience it. Put it in a diffuser, put 1 drop in a diffuser and just let your body smell it for just a couple seconds. And as long as you don't have any adverse reactions to it, that's a good sign that your body will receive that. And also there's intuition. If you do experience any adverse reactions, then you don't use that oil. And one thing I found, and this is something because of the following that I have, a lot of people that follow my work belong to one of the 2 or 3 major network marketing companies. And one question I get, which is surprising, because one thing people do is, the whole detox myth, they'll force through an adverse reaction because they're convinced because the oil is pure, it's good. So let me tell you, y'all,
I'm going to make myself ill so that I know this is working.
Right?
Oh,
purity. So, I say this and I teach this. Purity is not a guarantee of safety. And purity is not a guarantee of therapeutic efficacy. Purity just lets you know there's nothing bad in it. And if anything, the purer the oil is, the more potentially dangerous it is because it's more concentrated.
So it's like taking pure heroin, isn't it? It's real big shot then,
So what does that mean? That means if you have a trusted supplier and if you get an oil that just doesn't work for you, it's not the oil's fault. Most likely, if it's a good supplier. If you check out the GCMS, if you check out the batch report, if you know, like, this is legit, don't blame the oil, don't blame the provider. You know what it is? It's your biochemistry.
I agree.
And one thing that, and I'll end with this, again, the organoleptic evaluation is, what is your individual biochemistry? And the thing that most people don't realize, it changes minute by minute, moment by moment. What you're drinking right now will affect your chemistry immediately. What you're thinking will affect your chemistry. Your chemistry today. That's why your blood panel will never, ever be the same. If you do a test 10 minutes a day for the rest of your life, it will always be slightly different because your body is always in flux.
It's the clock.
Yes, and that's our God-given, beautiful homeostasis ability to reach harmony regarding all the different things that we do. So with that said, you'll find that maybe a lemon today might not work like the lemon of yesterday. It won't work like the lemon of tomorrow. And it's the same exact lemon. So with that said, got to experience things. Find what works for you.
I do. There's a couple of points to raise from there. The first is that, when you said you can't hear essential oils, I hear essential oils. That's what's famous in my books. I hear them as musical notes. So when I'm blending, I can hear them. But the second thing was that just when you were talking about, it's not the supplier's fault. It's not the oil's fault. It's yours. I agree with that. And I think that I always look at essential oils like people that I know. And there's some people in life that you're never going to get on with, isn't there? You just butt heads, and I find that's very much with essential oil. Sometimes you can just go, like, I'm like that with rosemary. Don't even send it to me because I'm just not going to get on with it. And I think that's the case, isn't it? Some you'll like, some you won't like, and although it does change a bit, there will be some that you just will never get on with. So I'm fascinated now. I want to know what you've got to say about weight loss, because all my readers will tell you, me and weight loss is a big thing. So you're writing about that in your book, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And going back to Jane, Dr. Buckle's book, her students did a 30-person case trial where 10 people inhaled mandarin, 10 people inhaled lavender, and 10 people inhaled the carrier oil. I think it was jojoba as the control. They didn't change their diet. And for 6 weeks, all they did was they inhaled the essential oil through an inhaler. I forget, maybe a minute or 2, 5 minutes max. They inhaled it before eating. And what they found was, on average, the mandarin group, they lost about 2 pounds. 2.5 pounds.
Wow.
Just from inhaling, just doing nothing. Interestingly enough, the control group lost about a pound.
Just by thinking about it.
Placebo. And the lavender group, almost 5 pounds.
5 pounds?
Just by inhaling lavender. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. We know that lavender stimulates the parasympathetic system, which is the rest and digest. It calms people. Animal studies has shown that lavender actually slows down lipolysis, which is fat breakdown. Lavender actually increases appetite in animal studies. So, okay, so you have animal studies that have shown that lavender has a tendency to increase weight, where Jane's study showed that lavender actually helped decrease weight. And to me, there is something to be learned with this, because when you have conflicting data like this, it goes back to, it has to work for you.
Yeah.
And my question to the world here is, my question to the research universe is, what was exactly the mechanism, and why did those people in Jane's study feel an appetite suppression when they inhaled it? Did it help calm stress possibly that led to maybe what is it? Like diet coping, food coping, right?
Yeah.
When people stress eating, that's the word I'm looking for.
Comfort eating.
Comfort eating. Like, do we have, now this is a question to the research universe, do we have comfort eating as a known issue in animals? Because if animals don't comfort eat, then the stress relieving aspect of lavender will not really affect their ability to not comfort eat. If anything, they'll get so relaxed. And I don't know about you, but you know, most times when people are drinking their wine, they're snacking, they're having some good times, they're drinking their drinks, and they overeat.
Yeah, of course you do. You
just
lose
relaxed.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking that's what happened to the animals, but what happened to the humans, because of just our tendency, especially in America, this was where the study was conducted, there's so much stress, chronic stress, that lavender can help stop that a little bit. And the less stress you are, proven, you won't eat as much. The less stress you are, you're not as likely to gorge. You're not as likely to snack.
You're more aware, aren't you? You're more aware of what you're eating.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 thoughts for you then.
Yeah.
So the first is from something I wrote in my Rose book. So Rose affects cortisol, directly affects cortisol.
Yes.
And cortisol multiplies the amount of adipose fat you have in your belly by 4 times.
Yep.
So if the lavender is doing the same as reducing the cortisol, maybe that's what that's doing. Maybe it's reducing the fat content in the belly.
Now, that's where the citrus oils come into play, especially lime and grapefruit. Lime and grapefruit have actually been shown to stimulate lipolysis, which is fat burning. So they've done this in human and in animal trials. It's consistent that just inhaling citrus oils, because they're high, they're rich in
especially lime. Grapefruit, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, grapefruit and lime specifically. And I don't know why they do the research studies that they did. They probably would have found this. Maybe that's why Jane chose Mandarin. I should ask her, by the way. But I got to meet her. Jane, if you're watching this, we love to meet you.
Yeah, both of us.
My phone number is 555.
I want to know red or green Mandarin too.
So, you know, in my upcoming diet book I'm writing with my wife, we have a whole section on how to use essential oils, and literally just diffusing citrus oils. And we have also found peppermint and cinnamon as well have an appetite suppressing ability. And when you take that one step further, so not only does it suppress the appetite, but it stimulates the brain to trigger fat burning, lipolysis.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I had one person just from my inner circle group I have on Facebook. We have a community about like 10,000 people, and we've had a lot of people try that. I'm starting to say, hey, everyone, let's try this out. And one woman reported literally, and I'm not making a fanciful claim, this is from her mouth, like she lost 3 pounds in a week just by inhaling some citrus oils and applying our little tummy rub on her belly. And for people that can lose a lot of weight, I'm telling you, 3 pounds is nothing.
Like, yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know, if you could lose 50 pounds, 3 is easy, 10 is easy, 20 is easy. So just think about that. So when it comes down to it, there's also one aspect when it comes to digestion, and we're talking stress relief, and we're talking about giving the body what the body needs to properly function, is that step further about stress eating, comfort eating, and addiction. And what can we do to use essential oils, like you mentioned before our talk today, to satisfy essentially the addiction cascade? You mentioned dopamine, how to trigger a dopamine rush, or how to in a sense bring harmony. That's all it is. And we know, like black pepper, for example, has helped nicotine addicts overcome the withdrawals of quitting smoking because of just it helps reward. And so the thing about it is we don't have direct research on food addiction and essential oils that I know of. And I've checked Jane's book, checked Tisserand, I've checked the literature. I'm sure it's out there, or hopefully it will be. But what I'm extrapolating is that if someone can get benefit and receive benefit from using black pepper, and that could be inhaled. And also I like those little quit sticks, when you get some diluted black pepper and put in a toothpick, and you let the toothpick absorb that, and you can put that in your mouth, because I used to smoke for 5 years, and there's an
that's a good idea. Yeah,
there's an oral fixation. So whatever it is, you could do a 2 to 5% dilution in olive oil and let that soak in a toothpick. And whenever you have a craving, we actually helped a lot of people actually do that. A close friend of ours, we kind of just said, hey, try it. And it worked. We put it out on the interwebs. Now we've had
I can see how that would definitely work. That's very clever.
So it helps that, helps also. But my thing is if black pepper and other oils can help reduce withdrawals and addiction cravings for nicotine, why wouldn't it for food? Because addiction at the core is addiction. Regardless if you're addicted to food, pornography, drugs, or whatever. I mean, it's something. And one thing people don't realize too, and we talked about earlier about EMFs, right? Electromagnetic frequency. Chances are, if you're watching this right now on the internet, you're addicted to your phone.
Yeah, I know I am. I've actually
right?
One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I've developed RSI in my hand, and for ages I thought it was typing, but it's not. It's my phone. Definitely. Yeah.
And you know what's happening, and I'll just get the cat out of the bag. And I'll refer this to Simon Sinek, who taught me this. Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. Look up Simon Sinek on YouTube. A brilliant talk that he gave on addiction and cell phones, especially with kids.
Yeah.
And so what we're finding is notifications on your phone trigger that dopamine response.
Yes, they do. So, I've read that myself, and I turned mine off for exactly that reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you never switch off, do you? Nope. Never. No.
And you become addicted to the rush. So what's happened is we're creating little addicts, especially for those of us who have children, or if you have grandchildren. We got to get these devices out of our kids' hands. And if they are on them, which it's almost inevitable, like we cannot avoid them if we want to function, especially in, America. And I'm assuming most of the, European Union, Australia, like
oh my goodness,
cell phones are a way of life.
It's horrific. Right? My son of all of them is the worst possibly in the world.
We can control it. And so turning off, but what it is that we're seeing that what we're doing with our kids, and Simon's brilliant how he mentions, he's like, look, we won't allow, at least in America, we won't allow kids to drink alcohol, but we're giving them the most highly addictive substance on the planet. And every time you get that notification, every time I got to go check. You post something on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you got to check 15 times in a minute to see how many people liked and shared and commented it. And every time you go to your phone, it's boom. Every time you go to your computer, boom.
I can't remember where I saw it on yesterday, but somebody said on the telly that people check their phones every 6 minutes now.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Every 6 minutes.
Habitual.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of that too.
Oh, I think we all are in this generation, aren't we? Definitely, yeah.
And so what do you do? Can black pepper help? Can maybe a mood boosting essential oil like those citrus oils that already give you a nice enhancement of dopamine, that serotonin, can diffusing these oils give you enough satisfaction in life where you don't need to go get your fix on your phone? Like I'm proposing something different to people.
I agree.
That but the counter to that, and this is kind of where I kind of want to end this like toxic segment, is the counter to that is if you're spraying aerosols, if you have harmful fragrances in your body care, in your cleaners, being emitted from your wall, that's actually causing a stressful insult to the brain, which agitates you, which brings you more to those things that make you happy. So if you're in an environment with a lot of environmental toxins, you're going to be more likely to be addicted to something because you need that stimulation from the brain. You need something good. You need something happy.
That would be exactly
right?
exactly my thought. It's just people aren't aware of how often they're being stimulated subliminally by all of these things, and it's all adding to the overstimulation, isn't it?
Yeah, and a negative stimulation. So what I'm trying to help people realize is that we are either being stimulated negatively or positively. And that's where essential oils, unless it's an oil that just for some reason, like your rosemary, it just agitates you, these oils will give you a positive stimulation, like almost guaranteed. I mean, there are no known side effects if you use essential oils properly outside of being allergic to them. Right? Well, like it's right. I mean, would you agree to that? I love to talk.
What I usually write in my book is that essential oils don't have side effects. They have many main effects. And so for example, they thin the blood, or they raise the blood pressure, lower the blood pressure. So you may have another main effect that you hadn't considered, but yeah, not side effects.
I mean, you're not going to get a list of, if you take this, you're going to be at more risk of cancer, diabetes, heart disease. You know, in America, you
don't have that huge, great big sheet in it. No.
It doesn't exist. But and I would even say, and my argument is that isn't even a side effect. That's a known drug interaction.
Yes.
It's not going to cause a healthy person to bleed out. It's going to cause someone who already is on blood thinners. Like if you're on a blood thinner, stay away from clove, you know, because that could cause, but using clove isn't going to cause me to have a, you know, that.
So no, that's right.
Yeah. And that's where I think it's really important, because these things, these compounds, these volatile organic compounds are so safe if you use them the right way. Dilution, inhalation the right way. Just don't put a bunch of drops in your water and consume it. Like you just be cognizant of that and just realize, and I say that to say this, realize, because see, in our aromatherapy space, there's almost an overemphasis on safety to the point where there's almost paranoia.
I was just going to say exactly
right?
that. Yes.
I'm trying to bring balance.
So many oils that are safe, just safe. Yes. You don't need to worry about all the other stuff, and people are getting really wound up by contraindications.
And that's it. And that's where I'm trying to bring balance, because literally on the network marketing sphere, there is not a lot of talk about safety, and it's a lot of misuse on the aromatherapy sphere that's almost paranoia. It's like, well, what do we do? The bottom line is the average consumer isn't going to want to go through a 300-hour certification program to use essential oils, and they're readily available. So the thing is, I'm just trying to give people just good common sense advice on how to use oils. And that's it. And that's why I love what you're doing with the summit and your books.
Thank you.
I hope people got a couple things. We talk about gut disorders. We talk about stress. We've talked about environmental toxins. Like all this is related. Addiction, weight loss, all this is related to digestion. If there's anything you think I missed, I want
to see the book on the table.
Oh, yes. Thank you. The healing power of essential oils.
This is clearly not the one that you're writing at the moment. This one's already on sale.
Yes.
Why is this brilliant, this one?
Oh, this is, well, it's peer reviewed by Scylla Shepherd-Hanger, Lauren Bridges, aromatic medicine practitioner.
Oh, Lauren as well.
Ken Miller, and other people that are fellow students from the Atlantic Institute of Aromatherapy. I will say, I'll brag on myself a little bit. I think it's the only book that's peer reviewed.
Yeah, it probably is. I was just thinking, I wish I'd done that. Yeah.
I don't know. And I'll tell you something. Thank them, because we changed some stuff. And, Lauren is trained in cosmetic formulations. That's another thing. Most aromatherapists don't know cosmetic formulations. We're just not trained in it.
No,
I mean, really, that's in depth. Shelf life, how to make preparations, all that stuff. So I'm super excited, because I say that to say I was smart enough not to write it alone.
Yes, I agree. I always get people involved in mine as well. So when's the new one coming out?
May 2019.
What's it called?
Yeah, well, it's to be determined officially. We're waiting, but yeah, we're in the middle. Like my manuscript is due in 2 weeks, but it's a diet book. We're going to be focusing on bioactive compounds that are found in foods, of which essential oils are technically bioactive compounds. And we talk about that, and we explain, and just the culinary use of essential oils, and we talk about proper techniques to burn fat and reach your ideal weight. And so it is a diet book per se, but we're really helping people find a healthy weight, because some people need to gain weight too, and I recognize that. So, you know, it's not a problem.
Not many in England. No.
But
no,
you know what?
They're all on the other side with me.
Well, a couple people with those hyperactive thyroids and other things, they need a little help. So we're going to help support them as well.
That's brilliant. So it addresses both aspects.
Yeah.
Getting balance. Yeah. Yeah. That's clever.
That's, again, what essential oils can help you do. If you eat right and use the oils right, your body will reach harmony. So you see that over and over again, whether or not you need to raise or lower blood pressure, or raise or lower this or that, you use the right oils, and next thing you know, your body finds that center point.
And you have a course as well, don't you, that you do?
Yeah. Essential Oils for Abundant Living. Over 300 and almost 25,000 people have watched it this year. It's just massively just profound.
So tell us a bit about the course. It's a very basic level course, is it? Have I got that right?
Yes. So, I'm not ever looking into certifying. Again, I'm not an aromatherapist. I'm a researcher.
This is a nice opportunity for people who perhaps don't want to go do certification, don't want to do some of the high level courses that we've done, but want to learn more about essential oils. Yeah. And yours is a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's very affordable. This is for the average consumer. This is for the user at home. It's a 10-part video masterclass. You could go to essentialoilsforabundantliving.com and check it out. I mean, it's free to watch. You could watch it for, it's a 10-day free viewing. You could watch it at any time because we've opened it up. We've had so many people request for it.
That's brilliant.
It's very basic. I mean, meaning it covers aromatherapy history, and it covers the do's and don'ts of basic internal use, and things that I learned from Scylla's manual, things that I get from Tisser, and things that I get from Dr. Buckle's book. And it's just basically taking what I've learned, going through Scylla's course and all my research, and just giving people just digestible stuff. And so I try to take a lot of the fear away. I try to debunk a lot of the internet myths out there. And I want to say, again, for all of my aromatherapy colleagues out there, very heavily based on safety, dilution, all that. We need to go back. And so that's the thing. I want to remind people, these are just precious plant-based compounds. And if you use them the right way, they can absolutely change your life. And to me, they enhance our life in every aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Without a shadow of doubt, that's true. Dr. Eric, you have been fantastic. That was so interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. So listen, say bye-bye.